Now, I want to turn to this horrific incident that occurred in the UK over the weekend with this mass stabbing on a train. British prosecutors have now charged a 32-year-old man with 10 counts of attempted murder after this stabbing on a train bound for London that left multiple passengers injured. Now, Anthony Williams has been charged with 10 counts of attempted murder and other charges. But also, Esther, a train driver is being hailed a hero after he helped save passengers during this knife attack. Andrew Johnson, he's a Royal Navy and Iraq War veteran. What more can you tell us?
Yes, this man, the footage has been released of his complete act of heroism, um, and how he ushered people off the train, and how his quick thinking allowed the train to be diverted to a station that allowed armed British police to get on board and tackle this man. I mean, the story is harrowing and not surprising, but really quite horrifying in the sense that it feels like nothing and nowhere is safe in the UK anymore. This
Yeah.
particular train, to my horror, is a train that I've taken for 15 years. It's the direct train line that goes to where I live in the UK. And so, it's one of those things that makes you think, where is safe? And unfortunately, what I've noticed is this is now becoming a pattern. So many people might not be familiar with this, but back in 2023, there was a man, a black British male by the name of Valdo Calacane, who went on a stabbing spree in Nottingham and killed three people, including two university students, because the voices in his head were telling him to. Now, this was in the aftermath of the fact that he went down to London in the weeks prior to MI5, and it was literally standing outside the building begging them to arrest him because, again, the voices in his head were telling him to. And then you fast forward to last year, you'll probably remember the summer riots in Southport here in the UK, which were triggered by the fact that what the police misled us by saying it was a Welsh choir boy, which ended up actually being Axel Rudakabana, a black British national of Ugandan heritage. He went on to stab and kill three young girls at a Taylor Swift dance class in Southport, even though he was known to the authorities. He had a history of mental health issues and severe antisocial behavior. Social workers couldn't even go to this young man's house without a police escort. And
Wow.
yet that was allowed to happen. And now we're seeing this man as well, Anthony Williams, who's another black British male who got on a train and stabbed 10 people. Thankfully, no one has died. But what we're seeing here is a trend of individuals that are slipping through the cracks. Now, we obviously
Yeah.
have a knife crime epidemic in the UK, but what we're also seeing is public health officials that don't really want to tailor public health policy towards a particular demographic that has a higher incidence rate of these kinds of mental illnesses. Most people don't know that in the UK, black young males, are 6 to 9 times more likely to suffer from schizophrenia than the general population. Now, when you look at this group that makes up only 2% of the British population, that's actually quite significant.
Mm.
And you have to have public health policies that's open about this, but also tailors the treatment towards it. So these people that are presenting a higher risk of these kinds of incidents and psychosis are dealt with. This, coupled with the increasing use of cannabis, which we know can induce psychotic episodes, and you have a perfect recipe for disaster. So it's kind of coupled with the fact that the British state just doesn't have the resources to protect the British public anymore. That we know, and also public health officials are failing the public by not tailoring our healthcare towards reducing this level of threat by targeting these groups that pose a higher level of threat with this regard,
Mhm.
which is completely baffling to me, to be honest.
And people are getting injured. No, it's horrific to watch. Finally, Esther, last time we spoke about the polls in the UK, where, of course, reform is well ahead. Over in France now, Macron's approval rating has dropped to a historic low of, wait for it, 11%, making him the most unpopular French president in 70 years. Wow. Talk to us about this.
Well, most people would say that he's a two-term president, so it's kind of the natural ebbs and flows of political opinion. But Macron has achieved something that even his predecessor, Francois Hollande, didn't manage to, which is, even though they were both polled at around 11%, the actual personal animosity towards his person is much higher than Hollande. People don't just disagree with Macron's policies or his work as a president. They dislike him deeply as a person. And contrary to popular belief, this doesn't have anything to do with the fact that there is this campaign trying to establish that his wife is indeed a man, which she is not.
Mm.
He's just a deeply unpopular president because well, one of the most recent reasons is because of the snap election called last year, which has basically left France rudderless, without leadership and without a budget. And in many Frenchmen opinion, this has made France a laughing stock. The country is completely gridlocked. Nothing is happening. I mean, the only silver lining that Macron can say is that at least his popularity ratings, while still not great, are not as bad as Keir Starmer's, who's hovering somewhere around, wait for it, -40.
Wow, it doesn't get much worse than that. Esther Krakue, thank you so much for your time. Great to speak with you.
Thank you.